A clunker at the classic. Michigan State as a team just hits 3 more three-pointers than you at home did. Is that a sign of things to come, or are there some positives from tonight? I don't know. Let's find out.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans. It's your team in green and white 5 days a week right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe, do whatever makes you happy. Comment below if you're optimistic or pessimistic after that game against number 1 Kansas. I'm going to do some ranting and rambling because I'm on the pessimistic side. I'm sorry, guys. I'll spoil it right now. But before that, Connor Muldowney of Spartan Shadows. Hi. How are you?
I'm great. You know, I never talk to you after losses. This is rare.
It's such an unusual feeling, right? Yeah, I'm way out of my comfort zone right now. No, this is all too familiar, Connor. Now, look. You told me that you had some positive takeaways, and right there I said, but save it for the show because this is good. We're going to have some yin and some yang here because, Connor, I'm not one of those people in a 77-69 loss against Kansas, and I'm a hypocrite. I know I am. I'm just the worst kind of person because what did I do early on Tuesday? I tweeted out, as I do often, I said, we all know the drill tonight, lose, and all right. No sweat in losing to the number 1 team. A lot of season left. Good lessons learned. Win, and we parade down Grand River, screaming back for 3 straight days. And Connor, the first one happened. They lost. And here I am, cutting against the grain. I'm not just taking it as you know what, number 1 team in the nation. You played pretty good. You could have won that game. No, I'm irritated, Connor. I'm sorry. Now, why am I upset? Well, 15% of it is sometimes like a healthy person before a game. I ask myself, what's the worst that can happen? Like, what's the nightmare scenario? And I'm going to be honest. It's that, you know what? Michigan State loses, and it's solely because Hunter Dickinson, who we've seen play the last 9 years against Michigan State in some way or another, he's the reason Kansas wins the game. That's a tough pill to swallow. Well, what do you know what happened? That's pretty much what happened as he damn near went for 30 points. Now, the other 75% of why I'm just irritated right now, Connor, is the half-court offense. I don't know why I sounded Southern there saying offense, but whatever. We're just going to roll with it. And the starters. All right, now, I hate to be Mr. I told you so, but this is what we've been preaching here on this show. Even going back to the exhibition games against Northern, against Ferris State, is that shooting's going to be an issue here. Like a big one, all right? Because, well, you've returned 2 players from last year's team, or just in general, even your transfers, that shot 36% or better from 3, all right? It's Trey Holloman, it's Jaden Akins. 2 of those guys are very volatile players, Connor, aren't they? I wouldn't necessarily use the word consistent for either of those guys. Am I already stepping out of bounds here? Check me on this.
I mean, I think Jaden Akins' biggest rival is consistency, honestly.
It's himself. Jaden Akins' biggest rival is Jaden Akins. And let's just talk about the starters.
He's winning that rivalry, by the way.
He's dominating that rivalry in big games, Connor. That's becoming an issue here. Now, 69 points. A not nice 69 points from your Michigan State team, might I add. 30 points from your starters, 39 from your bench. And let's just go down the list of starters right now. Is it going to be mean? Am I going to sound like I'm undressing some of these guys? Yeah, possibly. But, hey, we're here to do straight talk. We're not here to sugarcoat. Frankie Fiddler, 24 minutes, 15 points. That's great. He got to the free throw line 8 times. All 8 made free throws. This is what we talked about in the offseason. This is what he does. He gets to the line. No one has done that here in East Lansing since Cassius Winston. Connor, is that all he does, though? Like, does he have any other part of his – like, can he make a shot without it being on the free throw line with no one in his face? Can we get something else from Frankie Fiddler? Is that possible? Or let me just keep on rolling here because Xavier Booker, 6'10", Xavier Booker. My goodness gracious, you had 5 field goal attempts in the first half for them from 3-point land. Floating out there on the arc like he's Steph Curry. In what world do you think that is the exclusive part of your game? The reason that he's so highly rated, that we have such high hopes for Booker, is because he's a big that can shoot. It's supposed to be a feature of his game, not the only thing he does. In what world does he think that just 1 2-point attempt and 4 3-point attempts, all misses, by the way, is a winning formula? Son, you are 6'10". Get your you-know-what in the paint and do something. I'm not asking you to be Tim Duncan the entire game, but just have another wrinkle that's not hitting the back iron on a 3-point attempt. Am I getting a little too ahead of my skis, Connor? Because I've got a lot more to go. Okay? I need to break check myself here.
Breathe. Deep breath. There we go.
Shimon Sapala, what can you expect? The guy came off the bench at Lawnwood. I'm not going to skewer the kid right there. Jeremy Fears, he was shot last year for crying out loud. What are you going to do? The kid can't really shoot yet. Kind of a solid game, though. 6 assists, still 9 points. And then Jaden Akins. Look, we know the story. I'm not going to lose my mind because at this point, if you don't know this about Jaden Akins, well, you just haven't been watching Michigan State basketball. He's a roller coaster, right, guys? I could have seen this from a mile away that after a great opening night against Monmouth that he would follow it up eventually with, 1 of 8 shooting, 2 points. Izzo after the game talked that, hey, he's got some senioritis. He's pressing a little bit. No, he's not. This is just Jaden Akins, man. This is what he does. So, Connor, do you want to say anything nice about this team? Because I think you're a little more rosy than I am. I almost got on here and I said that they should start 5 new players against Bowling Green, but I did come to somewhat of a rational sense that I just need to see Booker and Zapala, maybe even Fiddler, just subbed out for this Bowling Green game.
I think that you have good points. Akins scored the first 2 points of the game for State, and he finished with 2 points.
But he's checked out. No, he didn't check out, but that's the problem. He still tries. It's just
his defense. Great, fine.
Yeah,
he's a good defender.
Yeah.
And it's not like he wasn't. He kind of did stop shooting a little bit in the second half. I think he wasn't really confident, but that's every bad Jaden Akins game is he just shrivels away, and we're starting to see that with the Xavier Booker too. Is the dude just checked out. I know he's probably in Izzo's doghouse. I think he played 2 minutes in the second half or something.
If that, yeah. I know.
I think that he's just either that or Izzo was yeah, today's just not your day, you're out type of thing. But like you said, Fiddler had 8 free throws. He still scored 15. He still made some shots. It is kind of frustrating that he's not hunting his shot more, but he kind of is because he had 8 free throws. So I guess can't really fault him for getting hit every time he goes up for a shot. The depth this year, I think, is better than we've had in a long time. We got
100%. Yes.
100%.
Yes.
We have Kohler, Holloman, Richardson, Tang, if he even wants to, if they even want to throw him in and give him minutes.
If he made the flight, I don't right.
Our bench could legitimately be a starting 5 for some teams. And that's
maybe this team, Connor. I don't know.
But that's not the worst problem to have. To have 5 guys that could easily full series swap out and be just as good as the starters. That's what we haven't had in a long time, and I think that's what sets us apart from last year's team, where it was okay, starting 5 are struggling. Tyson Walker isn't hitting shots. This team is screwed. Now it's okay, Akins isn't on his game. Booker's a ghost. Okay, sub in Cooper, Carr, Kohler. Richardson going for Akins or Holloman going for Akins. We have 5 guys, 6 guys, if you count Tang, that could legitimately come in and start for this team. Outside of starters.
Of course. And look, the reason I'm so emotional and whiny after this game, it isn't just because you guys just freak out whenever you lose a single game. I don't think that's entirely true. My issue lies in that I think that this is a long-term issue, just like we were talking about. And hey, shooting's going to cost you a lot of games this year. Here was one tonight. You could have beat number 1 Kansas. Your defense was certainly good enough to beat the Jayhawks. Just 3 more 3-pointers out of 24 you attempted changes the game, but it's every stat that I just rattled off earlier. It's in the numbers. There aren't a lot of shooters on this team, and the ones you do have, reliable is not a word I would use to describe them, Connor. That's why I'm so fired up tonight, is that I don't think that we're doomed. We're going to, just make the NIT. I don't think we're making a Final Four by any means, but I think we're just going to another march to a season where it ends in a 7 through a 10 seed. And this time, because, shooting's going to be the big issue. That's why I'm so just charged up. I got another reason, but I'll save that for after the break. But sorry, Connor, go ahead.
I think I'm going to disagree. Like, I honestly think this team, like, from the looks of it early on, like, obviously the early season, like, gritty, close loss to a number one team is like staple of post Cassius Winston MSU, like a literal staple of MSU since Cassius Winston's left. But like this one felt like, okay, they're missing threes. I get it. But like in previous years, they're taking bad shots. There were no bad shots tonight where I was like, other than the Cohen Carr three.
I was literally just going to say there's one that is just in my mind.
But like, it was almost like he felt obligated to shoot it because there was,
wide open.
There was no, like, I think someone fell down in front of him. Yes. I don't even remember. Yeah, it was just like, I'd be more concerned if we were shooting 24 threes, making 3 of them, if none of them were open. Like we had, I'm pretty sure 20 of those 24 were wide open threes.
That's an incredible point. It is.
Also, like, when was the last time? This might seem like pretty much. It's not a great point, but it's something to think about. When was the last time we shot the ball well at an NBA or like neutral site arena?
404 error not found.
Like, when was the last time? I couldn't tell you the last time. Maybe Ford Field when Darrell Summers dunked on, and that's a football field. Like, I don't honestly not tell you the last time we shot well at an NBA or professional or neutral
setting venue. Now, if you guys would notice earlier, I said, some wonky percentages. I said 15% of it was Hunter Dickinson, 75% of it was shooting. I still left 10% left over. I'm going to give that to you guys here after this break. That's right. I'm going to keep emotionally lashing out here. But first, I need to talk everyone's ears off about Gametime. That's right. The greatest ticketing app on this planet. Now, why? Why do I always talk about Gametime and love them? Not just because they're a great partner of this show, but they save that money. Guys, we're talking about flash deals right now. Whether it's the Purdue football game, the Rutgers football game, or hey, even this basketball game this Saturday against Bowling Green, you're going to find great deals in great sections thanks to their flash deals, even weeks ahead of the event, guys. Or let's say Saturday, okay, Michigan State, they beat Illinois. You're feeling good about yourself. You're in East Lansing. You're saying, let's keep the green and white parade rolling. I want to go to Breslin. Oh, crap, I don't have tickets. Who cares, guys? With the last-minute ticket deals, Gametime hooks it up. Again, great seats and great sections at great prices. Even after kickoff and tip-off, you can still save big over at Gametime. And save right off the bat. When you download the Gametime app today, use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, guys, download the Gametime app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? You already know it. It's Gametime. All right, let's drag him back out here. Connor Muldowney, who is really just keeping things in check right now. Thank you very much for just your time, your insight, your friendship, and all just the nice things you have to say about Michigan State basketball, because I think that there's kind of a divide here, I guess I'll call it, amongst the fan base where, like, the program's at, what should make us happy, what shouldn't. And that's where my other 10% lies of, like, why I'm so fired up. It's like, Connor, I know there's, like, 27 or whatever games left in the season, whatever. It's a long season. The rational part of me, which is like the size of a Skittle at this point, understands that. I'm just getting impatient, though. I want to win cool games again. I liked, in my 30-some years of life, I enjoyed rooting for a top-flight program, which we haven't seen in 4 years. How many cool wins have we had? Neutral court beatdown against Baylor last year? That was fun. What did it really mean? The game against Marquette that got us to the Sweet 16. A lot of fun. Celebrated my you-know-what off after that. Really hard to celebrate Sweet 16s that hard, though. I don't know, a home game against Purdue where Tyson Walker hit that shot. I need more than just one handful of games that I can count in the last 4 years as a blue blood program. Really nice opportunity tonight. Slipped right through your fingers. Am I a baby? A super big baby? Or am I justified in, like, being a little impatient about just the state of MSU hoops right now?
I think that we've been so spoiled, but at the same time, like, that is a valid point. If you want to be considered a blue blood, if you want to be up there with the blue bloods,
that's my point, right? You
have to win games like this. You have to at least, like, it's cool to be, in the game. Like, you and I kind of talked about it, like, before the podcast. It's cool to be in these games and, like, keeping it close the whole time. That's almost like our MO in these games lately.
Yeah,
but it's got to be time where we close one of these out. We win one of these. I remember the last time we, like, There was a Kentucky one that we won a couple of years ago. It was one of those cool wins.
There was, but then at the end of the season, I looked it up right before recording.
The season, it didn't matter. Like the whole season was kind of a wash.
And Kentucky was like a 6 seed. It wasn't a great Kentucky team by season's end. Yeah.
The last one of these games I can remember winning is when Matt McQuaid hit that 3 as a freshman, and it was like, okay, like this team is So I don't blame you because I think the program is too good to just be happy with losing close to Kansas. But I also think that early season Michigan State basketball has been the same for probably Izzo's entire tenure, where it's like they'll have these games. Well, they'll win 1 or 2 of these games. They might go to Maui and beat, a ranked team and like, look,
UConn, second round, do it. I dare you. Do it as a bit at this point.
Right. Like they might do that and like everybody's minds will change. But the difference between the previous like 3 or 4 years, it's like there wasn't a ton of optimism after losing these games. I feel like this one is like you make 1 or 2 more threes. This game, you probably win this game. You don't waste 25 seconds on the shot clock with 1.5 minutes to go, or you don't just avoid fouling when they're dribbling it down. Like there's so many little things that should have been corrected that could have made this, flip the other way. That it's frustrating. They need to win these games, but it's also like we're 10 deep right now, and that's more encouraging than relying on Nick Walker.
I think it's a really good point, too. I'm going back to the first segment of what you brought up. It was good quality of shots, and I just remember the last month, maybe even 2 months of the last season, where every possession just felt like, just like you said, oh, my God, 6 seconds left in the shot clock. Who knows what's going to happen next? And it just didn't go well. At least they were finding good shots. We'll see if they ever fall. But, look, let's keep the positivity train rolling right now. Okay, you've done a great job of giving us the first 7 innings here, Connor, but we're going to go to Twitter to see if we can find a setup man and a closer here because I did a post-game reaction video. I said, look, clearly I'm not positive about it. If you are, let me know why. We're just going to pick a few tweets out. We'll comment on them. The first one I think was a great microcosm of the game, though. Ben writes in, okay, we aren't pretty or top 10 talent, but the possession where we get 5 offensive rebounds, then a tip-in was impressive of the effort these guys give. Good enough to beat anyone on any night with that type of effort. The effort is sterling. Like, we do have some Spartan dogness back in our lives, but the reason you had to grab 5 offensive rebounds is because you couldn't make caught myself there. A gosh darn shot. So that kind of just sums up the game for me right there. But I even with the Monmouth game and the Niagara game, you got Garrick Norman losing his mind after taking a charge already up 40. You have Kurt Tang diving for a ball up 36. There is a dogness to this team. I know that sounds so cliche, but us Spartan fans know as well as anyone that actually means something in basketball. So I do like Ben's comment right there.
It's the dogness has been missing since Cassius. I feel like
it has.
He got a little bit of it with Tyson. Malik Hall had a little bit of it, but it's like that was like 1 or 2 guys a team. Now it does feel like this whole thing, like Jackson Kohler is just, he looks completely different this year. Jace Richardson doesn't look like a freshman. Holloman comes out, gives you good minutes every game. Fears is just, you can trust Fears almost with your life at this point.
He's
a fun player. I would look a little bit more dog from Booker and Akins, but I think that's going to come. I feel like the doghouse is going to only make Booker better. But
it goes one of 2 ways.
He's either going to shrivel or he's going to be like the best player to ever come. Like it's going to be no in between.
And that's what Izzo is fantastic at, has been his whole career, of knowing what buttons to push with most guys. There's only like one guy I can think of that he can never solve, and he currently plays for Vanderbilt right now. But by and large, he knows how to get his guys going. Hopefully it works with Booker here, but whatever. I am glad you brought up Kohler because that's the next comment here that we're going to read here. This might be the last one before we switch to football talk, but Rocky writes in, Kohler is vastly improved. He'll be fun. Fears and Richardson are stars in the making. Carr is finding more of a game outside of the dunks. Then he writes in, with the shooting woes, is there a chance we see Tang rolled out more? I would imagine yes, but let's keep it with Kohler right now because even after that Niagara game where he went for, 20 points, I think, great game. Awesome work. I did say you also went against a team that played one guy that was taller than 6'6", and he fouled out in about 45 seconds, Connor. He had to get to Dublin Square that night for $2 Coronas or something. That was quick work out of that guy over there. But let's wait until it's against real competition. And 12 points from Kohler. Okay, you know what? Again, not calling it mission accomplished yet, but after a double-double with 10 rebounds against Kansas, okay, you know what? Got some handwritten letters to the Kohler family that I got to start working on here pretty soon if this keeps going, because that is the improvement in the offseason that we were all told about that I was skeptical about. But, Connor, take it away on Kohler.
I mean, like, he's the one guy that was – it was kind of everybody was relying on him to kind of turn the corner when we went in the portal and only got a guy from Longwood, who actually I've been surprisingly impressed with on the defensive end. I think he's kind of holding his own.
It's been solid.
If he can give us, 4 or 5 points and 3-4 rebounds tonight, I'm okay with that. But Kohler coming off the bench, averaging like 12 and 10, that would be huge for this team. And it looks like that's kind of where he's headed. Like, I feel like that is kind of his sweet spot. 12 to 15 points, 8 to 10 rebounds a night, comes in, brings energy, better on the defensive end this year, looks in way better shape. I don't remember a single time where he got beat tonight, and I was like, "What? Like, whoa, he's outclassed." Like he held his own, and that's what we all hoped for. And this is against the number 1 team in the country. So
yeah,
the first 2 games that we were worried about it translating, I think it's translating.
His first shot, I think, it was good footwork. Layup came up short, and I thought to myself, he's back.
Same.
Like that. Saw that 58,000 times last year, and then all he did was just ball out the rest of the game. Yeah. So you know what? I'm glad we ended basketball on somewhat of a high note. I still think, obviously, there are glaring concerns with this offense. But, hey, you know what? That's why people love Connor Muldowney, because you bring the sunshine, talking about the depth, talking about the good shot taking right there. We're going to switch to football here. We're going to start that on an optimistic note. That's right. 2-game losing streak. Who cares about that? Well, we do. But we're going to talk about, hey, perhaps – a young player that we like saying some good things about next season. But, hey, first need to talk your ears off about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And speaking of football, well, hey, guys, as things stand right now, subject to change, of course, Michigan State 2.5-point underdogs on the road at Illinois coming up this Saturday. Let's say you think that, sure, it's not great here in Michigan State, but Illinois, they are frauds down there. We'll go ahead, make the wager over at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. They'll also have great props lined up for you on Saturday and, well, of course, on Sunday. Get ready to tackle the NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers come at $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now let's drag him back out here. It's Connor Muldowney, gracious with his time, his presence, his insight, his knowledge. And Connor, did you have any anxiety, or still do, I guess, around Nick Marsh? Because I know you're one of the media folk doing things over Spartan Shadows. I'm sure you get tweets, maybe you get some emails, because I've been getting these since September of, hey, are we worried about Marsh leaving? Or, hey, are you sure Marsh is going to come back next year? And try to do a good job of just completely ignoring it, for the betterment of everyone's mental health. But were you worried about this, or are you still worried about Nick Marsh?
I mean, you can never be 100% sure with anything in the portal era, but I feel like Nick Marsh just kind of has that Spartan dog kind of feel to him, and I think that his relationship with Courtney Hawkins is so strong that unless something drastic happened there, he's not going anywhere, especially since him and Childs kind of have that connection. So, I mean, part of me is like, yeah, he's our best, but like, we're a top 20 program. We should start acting like it. Stop worrying about losing every player, That is going to be the litmus test of the offseason. Look, it's not going to be the entire thing that we grade NIL on at Michigan State, but if you lose Nick Marsh, point blank, like, fail. I don't care what you do the rest of the portal season, like, complete abject failure. I will say, before this quote that I'm about to, read off here, I was, under the assumption that, 70% that Marsh is back, right? But Connor, this is a tweet from Ian Kress. He is over at WLNS. He was at media availability today. Nick Marsh spoke to the media, and he said, quote, "We're just building up next season and throughout the rest of the season. I'm pretty sure it'll get better." He was talking with his chemistry with Aiden Childs. And, well, let me read that again. Next season,
And throughout the rest of this season, I'm pretty sure it'll get better. Now, I will say, is this just a ridiculous conversation to have that we are already worried about a true freshman receiver from the state of Michigan potentially leaving in the offseason? Yeah, it's terrible, but that's what college sports is these days. And, well, we've been burned by some receivers in the portal, and we've been burned by other really good players in the portal in a few last off seasons. Nothing is 100%. I'm still not 100%, but that certainly that he's talking about next season, that eases the anxiety on my end. Is that enough for you, Connor, or are you in the boat of like, well, kids say anything and nothing really means anything in the world of college football these days?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it does make me feel better, but I also wasn't all that worried about it. I think the past few years of both basketball and football have made us so insecure as a fan base.
Yeah, gee, I wonder why we're like this. Yeah,
that we just assume, like, oh, he's our best player, he's going to leave us.
Yeah,
like right. The same thing happened with Xavier Booker this offseason. It's like, oh, he's a good freshman, he's going to leave.
It happened during the season last season, not just the offseason. Yeah,
I think a quote like that shows just how little these kids like actually think about that kind of stuff, especially during the season. Like Nick Marsh isn't thinking about leave. Like he's probably got an incredible NIL deal with us. I'm sure he does.
He's not here for free.
Yeah,
right?
He's not volunteering for Michigan State football. He's getting paid money.
Correct. He picked us over like Penn State and a lot of other top schools. Of course, because he visited here. It's in his backyard. A lot of comfort with Courtney Hawkins. That all matters, of course. But I think he's earning a livable wage to do what he does here in East Lansing. And can it get higher? Yes, of course. And look, I think the NIL thing is a little overblown with Michigan State here. Because Aiden Childs also isn't here for free.
Yeah. No.
But he's making more than all, if not, or most, if not all, position coaches on this team.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there is the money there. We'll see how it goes. He's going to hear offers from other schools in the offseason. I would bet my life on it. Not 100%, but a quote like that, okay. Can everyone just calm down for about 5 more seconds here before we all just lose our minds?
Yeah, and like obviously Childs has had an up and down year, and a lot of people are calling for.
Has he? Is that?
I get it. Like I understand, but like every single person should have known this was his kind of year to let it all out and learn on the fly. He's a 19-year-old kid starting at a major college program for the first time. Like. He's going to make mistakes, and honestly, I'm fine with it because we weren't going to do anything big this year anyways. So having a quarterback relationship like that too helps big time. Like we saw with Keon Coleman, he left because obviously there were more issues than that, but like who was his quarterback? He had no idea who his quarterback was going to be.
Yeah.
There were 3 or 4 guys that were competing to throw in the ball. So why would you stay in a situation like that and hurt your draft stock? With Marsh, he's got a guy that he knows is going to be throwing him the ball next year. So
that's fair. That's fair. Connor, to end this thing, do you want to play a game?
Sure.
You want to play a little game? Sure. This is a game that we played the last time you were on here. It's guess the percent chance of Michigan State winning. Now, last time we did this, it was early in the season. I think it was after the second game, if I'm not mistaken. But look, we go to kfordratings.com. We had him on earlier this year. Great guy. Does awesome projections for college football. 3 games left. Okay, you got to win 2 of them to make a bowl game. Connor, are you ready to play? Guess that prediction or guess that percentage. Who cares? You know the drill by now. What percent chance does kfordratings.com give you to win this Illinois game coming up Saturday at Memorial Stadium?
I'm going to go 32%.
Ooh, 39%.
Oh, okay.
So this is already going different than the last. I was going to say it's a little higher actually because the theme last time, and I felt bad because I felt like I was setting you up. The projections were a lot lower in Michigan State. Even you know what? Because it was after the Maryland game. I think we were feeling really high about ourselves. The numbers weren't, but hey, Connor, things have gotten a little rosier here. Okay. Even after a 2-game losing streak, the game after this one, Friday night, Purdue. Yours truly, I will finally be at a game at Spartan Stadium. I cannot wait to get my hand on a $10 beer at Spartan Stadium. What percent chance do our Spartans have of beating those Boilermakers?
I feel like if it's lower than like 76%, I'm going to be upset. So I'm going to say like 70, 78, 82, 85, 89, 83.
83%. You nailed it, Connor. Look at you. But that's high.
First try. That's crazy.
I know. I would love to go back, and I know he has it somewhere on his website. I'm sorry for not having this prepared. I would love to go back and see what our percent was against Florida Atlantic, because I'm not sure if it was even 83%. The numbers and the eye test are very low on Purdue this year, understandably so. Connor, last game, Greg Schiano, the Piscataway Scarlet Knights are coming in here. What percent chance do you have Michigan State beating Rutgers senior night? What do you got?
Rutgers has been so bad this year, like shockingly bad compared to what they were supposed to be. I'm going to say 73.
Lower.
68.
Lower.
64.
Think coin toss. Think coin toss.
52.
And then go lower.
Huh? 50?
Lower.
What?
I know. This is a little surprising. Yeah,
wait,
I know. I know.
47, 48, 49?
48. It's a 48%. I think a few days ago it was 51. I don't know what happened to skew at 3%, but regardless.
Did Rutgers add Tom Brady this week?
They may have, although Ethan Kalikamis, or however you say his name, he did look like that against his former team, Minnesota, not too long ago. But that's one I got a hard time believing. 39% against Illinois, fine. Okay, that sounds reasonable. On the road, sure, whatever. 83 against Purdue, yes, love it. The 48% against Rutgers shocks me, because I know Rutgers has a solid defense, a really good coach, never quit. But goodness gracious, I think Calic Manis is one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen with my two eyes, and
he's not good.
That game's going to be a race to 20 points, very similar to the Iowa game. We've had a lot of games where it's a race to 20 points. But
you remember what our Iowa percentage was? Because it wasn't very. It was like,
I think it was like 26 or something like that. It was not high whatsoever.
Yeah, it was low.
At one point, I think it was like 15 or 10. It was very low to start the season. But Connor, are you feeling good about the prospect of 2 wins in the last 3 games, knowing those percentages and just knowing what we know about our team and the other 3 teams?
I mean, realistically, this team should win out. Realistically,
there is a very real world. Yeah.
Like 2 wins should be the bare minimum. Obviously, yeah. I would be very, very Mel Tucker era angry if we lost to Rutgers to end the season.
Yeah.
That would almost be a worse loss than losing to Indiana a couple years ago.
Oh boy! I would have to see it actually happen. Yeah, I'd have to see it actually happen and the fashion of which it happened. But oh man, what a great debate to have that would be if that went down.
I was probably on after that game. I'm sure. I
don't know. Probably.
Yeah.
I have to go back and look after this one. But no, I think it's fair, because even though Michigan State, obviously we have deficiencies, right? Like our defensive line and our pass rush. We've talked about it on the show last week. Horrendous. The offensive line, not great. Aiden Child's still making mistakes, but these other 3 teams aren't murderers row, right, guys? We actually talked with Locked On Illini on tomorrow's show. That's a guy that's not really confident in his team. Okay, despite them starting 6-1, he's not entirely high on the Illini supply. Purdue, we already know the story with them. Rutgers, these are all winnable teams with major flaws, just like Michigan State has. 2 of them are at home. Come on, boys. Get me to the Game Above Bowl in Detroit, or the Serve Pro First Responders Bowl. Give me to a bowl game. Please.
I mean,
guarantee it for us, Connor. Take us home with a guarantee. Come on.
We're making a bowl game. We're
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll be in Detroit for sure. We'll play. I don't even know who in the MAC is
Eastern Toledo. I've seen that projected on us.
I don't want to play a directional school.
Well, you might have to play directional school.
Nothing good can come from that.
You don't want to visit by Belleville's latest assistant coach on the sidelines at Ford Field? You don't want to do that against a directional school again? No? Okay.
No, not really.
Suit yourself. All right. Fair enough.
Talk about collusion, but that's whatever.
That, and again, a bus full of people from Wyandotte to go to a Belleville game with matching shirts.
I was told that's normal. I was told that's a normal thing to do for a grown adult,
If people don't know what we're talking about, Michigan had a big tailgate at a Belleville game with Stay Home Bryce. They're trying to go for the number 1 overall kid. Which, look, you want to go to a high school game that you're not remotely attached to? Fine, I don't care. I would like to do that myself one day. It is what it is. When you're going there for the sole reason to try to beg a kid to go to your school, what are you doing? What is that water cooler conversation like on Friday before you leave for the weekend? Hey, Jim, any plans this weekend? Yeah, I'm going to Belleville. It's oh, yeah, great to see Bryce Underwood. Yeah, I'm actually going with the group, wearing matching shirts. I'm going to get in the locker room after the game, too, and take a picture with him and beg him to come to the school.
No. Hold on. They were all donors, I believe.
Oh, of course they were. Yeah, sure.
Mr. Brightside from that group of people had to sound like nails on a chalkboard. It had to be just the worst.
Not great.
Yeah.
Look, I know our recruiting is not great right now. We don't have a lot of room to talk, but that was, I don't know if it was desperation or just straight up oddness, whatever you want to call it. Quite unique, I guess, is I'll be nice to them. That's a unique way of approaching things. I thought kids commit somewhere because of coaching staff, culture, development. Not a bus full of strangers showing up to a high school game with matching shirts begging him to stay home. But I digress. We clearly think differently.
Donors.
Excuse me, donors. Thank you, Connor. That's my bad. God, we went way over on time again. Mr. Lockdown's going to be pounding on my door by midnight. I can already feel it. It's just too fun talking to you, Connor. Thanks a lot for joining. I got to say, did not think I'd be smiling or laughing this much after the game, but sometimes all you could do is laugh to keep yourself from crying. And thank you for supplying a friendly conversation once again, Connor. You're the best. Anything you want to plug before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your week?
Nope. Just check out Spartan Shadows and be more optimistic about this game because I am.
And people call you negative. Like that's slanderous, libelous.
Yeah. God. Just don't read my timeline during a game.
Yeah. No, just don't. All right, guys. We will be back tomorrow again. Sonny Verma of Locked On Illini. It is going to be a great chat with him. We already recorded it. That's why I know it. And then at the end of the week, of course, final thoughts on the football game and the other basketball game going on Saturday too. Busy week here in the East Lansing streets. Until then, guys, take care of yourselves. Love you all. Go Green.